She was under stress, Robert muttered, perhaps to himself, perhaps to the humming vending machine in the Willow Creek PD's hallway. And the thought trailed off, incomplete. Stress might explain Emma Kendall calling Willow Rainwater ma'am in the cab, despite likely recognizing her from the rec center's youth basketball games. But it didn't sit right. Rainwater's name distinctive, like her towering presence, wasn't one you'd forget, even in a panic. And Emma hadn't seemed panicked in the interview room. Not when she recounted coaching Dylan's track team, her voice steady as she described his Zip It Ellison nickname. That calm gnawed at Robert, a puzzle piece that didn't fit the portrait of a killer. He shifted in the chair, the vending machine's soft drone filling the silence. Through the drawn curtain, he couldn't see Emma or Howie Gold, but he imagined them huddled, Gold scribbling notes as Emma spun her alibi. Oakville, a teacher's conference. Louise Penny's keynote details so precise they demanded scrutiny. If true, they shattered the case. If false, they were a masterful lie. Either way, Robert's certainty from the festival arrest was crumbling. The detention wing door buzzed again, and Ivan Petrov returned, clutching a soda can and a foil-wrapped sandwich from the quick stop across the street. He set a steaming coffee cup on the console, its bitter scent cutting through the stale air. "Survive the Black Death?" he asked, nodding at the cup. Robert took a sip, wincing. Barely. He gestured to the curtain. "Still in there?" "Looks like it. Gold's milking his half hour." Petrov unwrapped his sandwich, grimacing at the soggy mess. "This looks like it fell off a truck." He bit in anyway, chewing thoughtfully. "You're thinking about Rainwater, aren't you? The ma'am thing." Robert nodded. "Doesn't add up. She said she knew Emma from the rec center, coaching basketball. Emma must have seen her there, too. Rainwater's not someone you miss. So why the formality?" Petrov shrugged, swallowing. Shock, maybe. Or she didn't want to seem too familiar. "You commit a murder. You're not exactly chummy in a cab." "Maybe," Robert said, unconvinced. He thought of Curtis Wade's statement, the bar security guy who'd seen Emma at Rusty Nail, dazed, with a scratched thumbnail that reminded him of his old drug days. A stash nail, he'd called it. But Emma's hands in the interview room, demonstrating Dylan's running form, showed no such nail. Had she clipped it, or was it another mismatch? He stood, pacing to the window, overlooking the station's lot. The festival lights glowed faintly on the horizon, a cruel reminder of the relay race where they'd cuffed Emma in front of her family and half the town. "We need to dig into her Oakville story tonight," he said. "Salazar's on the Maple Lodge footage, but we should call Roundhill again. Get Quaid and Grant on the line. Confirm every second of her Tuesday." Petrov set the sandwich down. "You're rattled, Robert. Her story's a bluff. Prints, blood, witnesses, she's our killer. The conference is a smokescreen. Then why's she so calm?" Robert turned, voice sharp. "She's not sweating, not twitching. She looked me in the eye and talked about Dylan like she's proud of him. If she's guilty, she's the coldest sociopath I've ever seen." Petrov's eyes narrowed. "Or she's delusional. Thinks she can talk her way out because she's Coach Emma, local hero. That 2016 volunteer award doesn't mean she's innocent." Robert's phone buzzed. A text from Unil Salazar. "Maple Lodge security contacted. Footage secured. Reviewing now. Update by 6 a.m. He showed it to Petrov. "Good," Petrov said. "If it shows her in Oakville, we'll deal with it. But it won't change the forensics." The curtain rustled, and Howie Gold buzzed from the interview room. Robert swiped his card, opening the door. Gold stepped out, his casual Willow Creek Soccer Club tee at odds with the sleek briefcase in his hand. His expression wasn't anger or bluster, it was something worse. Pity. "Well, gentlemen," he said, adjusting his glasses, "you've stepped in it deep." Petrov bristled. Save the theatrics, Howie. Your client's guilty, and you know it. Gold shook his head, almost sadly. You didn't even question her before the festival stunt. No interview, no chance to explain. You paraded her in cuffs before her kids, her neighbors, the whole damn town. And now, he paused, letting the weight settle. I've got Alec Pelly chasing something that'll make you wish you'd waited. What's that supposed to mean? Robert asked, stomach tightening. Gold's smile was thin. You'll see soon enough. For now, let's talk to Emma. She's ready to answer your questions, but I'm warning you, you're not going to like what you hear. Robert exchanged a glance with Petrov, whose jaw was set. The festival's distant lights seemed to pulse in rhythm with his growing unease. Emma's calm, her alibi, the missing thumbnail, Rainwater's small cracks, in a case that had seemed airtight hours ago. As they followed Gold back to the interview room, Robert felt the ground shifting, the truth slipping further out of reach. Another memory surfaced, offering a better explanation for Emma Kendall's use of ma'am with Willow Rainwater. Robert's younger cousin, Mikey, 4 years his junior, was hopeless at hide-and-seek as a kid, often just ducking under a blanket, convinced that if he couldn't see Robert couldn't see him. Could a murderer, fresh from a heinous act, cling to similar childish logic? If I don't know you, you don't know me. It was irrational, but the crime itself was madness, and it might explain more than Emma's odd formality in the cab. It could account for why she thought she could escape notice in Willow Creek, where she was a familiar face, practically a local legend among sports parents. But then there was Curtis Wade. Robert could almost picture Howie Gold circling a line in Wade's statement, prepping his closing argument with a nod to a famous defense. If the glove don't fit, you must acquit, Johnny Cochran had declared. Gold's version might be, if she didn't know, you must let her go. It wasn't the same, not even close, but Wade had said Emma explained the blood on her clothes and face with a nosebleed story. Burst like a geyser, she'd told him. Any clinic nearby? But Emma had lived in Willow Creek her whole life, save for college years. She'd have known the health spot's location without asking. No need for Wade's directions to the billboard by Creek Auto. So why the question? Ivan Petrov returned, balancing a soda, a foil-wrapped sandwich, and a steaming coffee cup from the quick stop across the street. He handed the coffee to Robert. Still quiet in there? Yep, Robert said, checking his watch. 15 minutes left, give or take. When they're done, I'll push for a DNA swab. Petrov peeled back the foil, eyeing the sandwich warily. Looks like it was run over. He took a bite, chewing grimly. You're stewing over something. Rainwater? And Wade, Robert admitted, sipping the bitter coffee. It was as bad as Petrov warned, but he drank anyway. Emma called Rainwater ma'am, like she didn't know her, even though they crossed paths at the rec center. And she asked Wade about a clinic, when she's lived here forever. Why? Petrov shrugged. Panic? Or she's playing dumb to cover her tracks. You kill a kid, you're not thinking straight. Robert set the cup down, unconvinced. He thought of Emma's hands in the interview room, smudged with field dust from the festival relay race, showing no long thumbnail like the one Wade described. Had she trimmed it, or was it another discrepancy? He considered raising these points with Petrov, but held back. He'd flagged similar inconsistencies before Emma's lack of disguise. Her brazen presence in town, and Petrov had dismissed them, insisting the eyewitnesses and forensics were ironclad. The coffee was nearly gone when Howie Gold buzzed from the interview room. Robert swiped his card, opening the door. Gold stepped out, his Willow Creek Soccer Club tee clashing with his sleek briefcase. His face wasn't angry or indignant. It was worse, a look of genuine pity that made Robert's gut twist. Good grief, Gold said, adjusting his glasses. You two have stepped in it deep. Petrov's jaw clenched. Cut the drama, Howie. Your client's guilty, and you know it. Gold shook his head, almost sorrowful. You didn't even question her before that festival spectacle. No interview, no chance to explain. You paraded her in cuffs before her family, her neighbors, the whole town. And now, he paused, letting the words sink in. Alec Pelly's digging into something that'll make you wish you'd slowed down. What's that mean? Robert asked, unease growing. Gold's smile was faint, sharp. You'll find out soon enough. Let's talk to Amache's ready to answer, but brace yourselves. You won't like what she's got to say. Robert glanced at Petrov, whose eyes narrowed. The distant glow of festival lights filtered through the station window, a reminder of the relay race arrest that had set this in motion. Emma's calm, her Oakville alibi, the missing thumbnail, the odd clinic questions mall fractures in a case that had seemed unbreakable. As they followed Gold back to the interview room, Robert felt the weight of doubt pressing harder, the truth slipping further away. Inside the interview room, the air felt stale, heavy with the weight of unspoken truths. Emma Kendall sat at the metal table, her Willow Creek runner's jersey still smudged with festival dust, her hands folded calmly, eyes steady. Howie Gold stood beside her, one hand resting lightly on her shoulder, his briefcase now on the table like a silent sentinel. Robert Ellison and Ivan Petrov took the chairs across from her, the third seat left empty, a void mirroring the gaps in their case. Robert's coffee cup, half empty and cooling, sat forgotten on the console behind him. Petrov leaned forward, his stubborn hair tuft bobbing. All right, Miss Kendall, your lawyer says you're ready to talk. Let's hear it. Where were you Tuesday afternoon when Frank Peterson was killed? Emma's gaze didn't waver. I told you. Oakville, at the Midwest Educators of English Conference at the Maple Lodge. Left Willow Creek at 9 Tuesday morning, got back late Wednesday night around 10. Petrov's lips twitched, a half smirk. Convenient. And you expect us to believe you were there the whole time, sipping coffee with teachers while Peterson was murdered 60 miles away? Howie's hand tightened on Emma's shoulder, a silent signal, but she didn't need it. Her voice stayed even. I was with Everett Roundhill, Billy Quaid, and Debbie Grantme colleagues from Willow High's English department. We drove in Everett's Audi. Got to the hotel by 11:30, picked up our badges and joined the keynote lunch. Stayed for Louise Penny's speech at 2:30, the Q&A after, then got our books signed. Had dinner with some Green Valley teachers we met, then hit the evening panel on teaching controversial books. Billy and I grabbed a drink at the lounge and crashed in our shared room. They'll confirm every word. Robert's pen paused over his notebook. The details were sharp, too specific to dismiss outright. He thought of Yunel Salazar's text Maple Lodge footage under review. If it showed Emma in Oakville, the case would fracture. You were never alone? He asked, keeping his tone neutral. Not for long, Emma said. I used the restroom before Penny's talk, maybe 5 minutes, and at dinner, I stepped away to the ladies' room. You think I drove to Willow Creek, killed Frank, and zipped back in the time it took to pee? Good luck selling that. Petrov snorted, but his eyes flicked to Robert, betraying a flicker of unease. Let's talk evidence, he said, ticking off points on his fingers. Your prints are on the van used to abduct Peterson, on his bike, on the stick that... He stopped, glancing at Gold, then softened his wording. That was used in the assault. Witnesses people who know you saw you at Hanson's Market with the boy, leaving Maple Grove Park covered in blood, at Rusty Nail asking for a clinic. They picked you out of lineups without hesitation. Emma's calm held, but her eyes darkened. I wasn't there. I don't know how my prints got on anything, but I was in Oakville. Check the hotel footage. Talk to my colleagues. You're wrong. Gold leaned in, his voice smooth but firm. You heard her. She's given you a verifiable alibi. You've got no initial interview, No questions before you humiliated her at the festival. You want to keep digging, Ivan? Fine. But Alec Pelly's already on this, and what he's chasing will bury you. Robert's stomach churned. Pelly's involvement was a wild card, his reputation as a relentless investigator looming large. What's Pelly looking for? He asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Gold's smile was cryptic. Something that'll make your case look like a house of cards. Let's leave it at that for now. Petrov slammed a hand on the table, the sound sharp in the small room. Enough games. You want to play alibi? We'll tear it apart. Hotel staff, conference attendees, security tapes will check every second. But the forensics don't lie. Your blood type's AB positive, isn't it? Emma blinked, then nodded. Yeah, I donated the blood drive. It's rare, but not that rare. Rare enough, Petrov said. AB positive was found on the stick, in the van, on the clothes we pulled from that Honda by the river. And when the DNA comes back matching those cheek swabs we took, it's over. Emma's composure flickered, a brief shadow crossing her face, but she straightened. I didn't do this. I don't know how my prints or blood got there, but I was in Oakville. You're making a mistake. Robert studied her, searching for a tell-guilt, fear, deceit, nothing. Just that unnerving calm. The same she'd shown when talking about Dylan's track days, calling him Zip It Ellison with a teacher's pride. He thought of Curtis Wade's statement the stash nail that wasn't on Emma's thumb in the interview. Willow Rainwater's ma'am, despite their rec center history. Small inconsistencies, piling up like pebbles before an avalanche. We'll verify your story, Robert said, his voice quieter than he intended. But you need to understand. Ellen Harper saw you with Peterson at 2:30. Lila Harper saw you in the park at 6:30, blood-soaked. Rainwater drove you to Benton at 9:25. Your prints, your blood tie you to the crime. If you were in Oakville, explain that. Emma's eyes met his, unflinching. I can't, but I wasn't here. I didn't hurt Frank. You've got the wrong person. Petrov stood, his chair scraping. We're done for now. You're going to county jail until Monday's arraignment. Maybe a cell will jog your memory. Gold's hand stayed on Emma's shoulder. You're making a grave error, Ivan. This won't hold. When Alec's done, you'll be begging to drop this. Petrov's face reddened, but he held his tongue, gesturing to the door. Robert stood, his mind racing. The festival lights outside flickered, a distant echo of the relay race where they'd cuffed Emma before her daughters, Sophie and Clara. Fiona Adler's autopsy report flashed in his mind bite marks, missing flesh, a crime so vile it demanded justice. Yet Emma's alibi, backed by colleagues, and those nagging discrepancies Rainwater, Wade, the thumbnail, suggested something impossible. As they exited, Robert's phone buzzed again. Another text from Salazar. Preliminary footage shows a woman matching Kendall's description at Maple Lodge, 2:45 p.m. Tuesday. Still reviewing. More soon. His heart sank. If Emma was in Oakville, who was in Willow Creek? And how could the evidence be so wrong?